I know, unfortunately, there's a day where we eventually, our clock stop ticking. The way I look at it, my clock is going to stop ticking when I want it to stop ticking.
Yeah.
That's how I'm looking at it, And I've always been like that. I'm gonna be the way I ran the ball. Hey, you gotta break both my legs to stop me running the ball.
Nothing is going to slow him down. The former Green Bay Packers running back Ahman Green, though, revealing he has been diagnosed with early onset Parkinson's disease. 49 years old, 12 seasons in the NFL, and he says he underwent testing after noticing some symptoms that concerned him. Now, it follows another diagnosis of Carly Simon. She's 83 years old. She came out to say she, too, has been diagnosed with Parkinson's. And she came out with a statement also saying that she's been learning how to live with it, and it can affect more than the body. It can bring anxiety, depression, exhaustion. She continues on to say how it says participating in life has temporarily misplaced the guest list. Very, very troubling news. And there are also some numbers here that are concerning many people. Parkinson's has surpassed Alzheimer's as the world's fastest growing neurological disease. Look at that number, rising 274%. Between 1990 and 2021, there are now 3.15 million to 11.77 million cases, and about 90,000 Americans are newly diagnosed, about 50% higher than previously assumed. And there is a concern that it is connected to toxins that we are exposed to. I'm pleased to bring in two thought leaders here in this movement and medical expert, Ellen Brown, co-founder of Crusonia and co-author of the Food is Health Substack, a great read. She spent more than 30 years helping the nation's largest health plans and hospitals. She advises on national health policy right now through her firm, Healthcare Actually. And also world-renowned Dr. Joe Pizzorno, a licensed naturopath physician who coined the term science-based natural medicine. He's also the chancellor of the Bastyr University, author of several books, including Clinical Environment, Medicine, and the Toxin Solution. All right, so the pedigrees, your CVs, really stand for themselves. You guys know this inside and out. What is going on with this explosion of Parkinson's, especially not just at that age? There's a woman, I'll start with you, Dr. Joe. She's 34 years old, and she says she has Parkinson's, and she's wondering if it's when she was exposed to mosquito trucks and being a gardener for many years.
Yes, it's a great concern. And when we're talking about Parkinson's and diabetes, we have to realize we now suffer the highest burden of chronic disease in every age group ever. And so while we're looking at Parkinson's, realize all the neurological degenerative diseases have increased as well. So the question is why? When people think about disease being genetic, only 15% of disease is genetic. Now, Parkinson's might be a little bit more, but no more than 20%, which means all the rest of it is under our control. It's nutrition, toxins, and lifestyle. Unfortunately, if you look at what's happened to us, our genetics didn't change. Our diet got maybe a little worse, but not a lot worse. But what we did was build the environment with metals and chemicals that poisoned our bodies. And a lot of those are directly neurotoxic. You look at someone like a football player.
I think you're hitting that. It is a football player who's seemingly healthy. He's 49. I mentioned a 34-year-old. Ellen, pick up on what Dr. Pizzorno just said. If only a small percentage is genetic, what is it? And what is happening with some of the concerns? You say it's about farms and soil and some chemicals that we've been exposed to that really are causing major issues and major concerns with some agencies that want to try and ban this.
Yeah, so I want to separate two things because people mash them together and it's not fair to the science. So the woman you're talking about, she didn't get Parkinson's from eating salad, right, or produce. She spent decades in greenhouses soaked in the stuff. No mask, no gloves, and that's an enormous direct dose. But that's not what the strong research is, and that's what the strong research is about. But what's on your dinner plate is micrograms, and it's different, equally important issue, because most of us, and Dr. Joe just hit on this, is that most of us aren't paying attention. There's no way to measure the accumulated exposure. And things like paraquat, which is a chemical that's directly related to Parkinson's, you'll hear that a lot in farmers. That's just one of the many things. And that's why I do my work, because right now we set a limit for one chemical at a time in our food. Paraquat on potatoes gets its own number, but there's no place in the system where anyone totals it. And when the researchers put it all together, Bianca, the mixtures were worse than any single compound alone. And what Joe just hit on is our body totals it. There's no research needed for that.
Mm-hmm. So now that we're learning so much more and it's being reported on, what can we do to live longer? Hence the name of this segment, hence what we want to do. We want to stay in prevention before you can get to diagnosis. Doctor, what would you tell people right now that are listening to this saying, wow, I want to make sure that I am protecting myself?
So it looks to me like toxins are the primary driver of the chronic disease epidemic. So number one, avoid toxins. So where are they coming from? Over 60% of the toxins are coming from the food supply, either as the food is grown or as it's processed and stored. So number one is eat organically grown foods. Now, people may say, well, organically grown foods are too expensive, and they are more expensive. But you can go to a group like the EWR, the working group, environmental working group, and they show a list of which foods are most toxic and which foods are least toxic. Number one, stop exposure. Number two, there are things we can do to increase our body's ability to get rid of these toxins. And by far, one of the easiest and least expensive is saunas. So it turns out all these neurotoxins, when we sweat, all those neurotoxins come out in our sweat. So it's a good way to get the toxic load lower.
It's great advice. It's great advice. We're going to have you back, of course. So much more to discuss in our powerful segment here. We're always tight, but this is really a spotlight on Parkinson's, and food is health. Alan Brown doing some great work over there. Dr. Joe, of course, coined the phrase science-based natural medicine. We certainly appreciate your expertise. Maybe jump in a sauna and look at what you're eating today. Thank you. See you back here soon.
Thanks, Bianca.
All right.